Well, thanks very much for the introduction. And I can tell you, customer experience is much more fun than law. I've spent 10 years in law, and I'm now happy that I'm not a lawyer anymore. When Craig was talking about his experience this morning when he was a child traveling, I need to think back about when I was a child. And there was nothing more exciting than around Christmas time, sit down at the dinner table with my parents and browse through travel brochures and look for the next holiday, for the next hotel. And then I thought at that time that was actually a differentiating experience, because the only way you could actually see pictures of hotels was in a brochure. There was no webcam, there was no TripAdvisor, there was no internet, so you really had to rely on tour operators at that time. And I don't need to tell you that this is not at all a differentiating experience nowadays anymore. But what I would like to talk to you today is what we at Thomas Cook are actually doing to differentiate ourselves more from the competition when it comes to product and services. Thomas Cook, I mean, a well-known brand, especially in the UK, we're around for 176 years. That has sometimes advantages, sometimes not, as you can imagine. A long-standing company with a lot of employees who have been around for quite a long time, which sometimes make change not that easy. So why do we actually need a differentiating experience? And I think this is all clear to you, but there are three reasons. From a company's perspective, of course, there is more revenue. It is an advantage against the competition. But from an employee perspective, you have much more engagement if your employees love your product and are very proud to work for your brand. And they stay longer, they tend to engage more with the brand and with the product, recommend it to other people, to friends and family. And last but not least, customers, if you have a differentiating product and also differentiating brand promise, then they tend to come back. They tend to spend more. And what we have seen with retained customers, that they're really able to spend more, and that the average selling price is going up if you have a differentiating experience. So at the end of the day, it is the right to exist, and it is the basis for growth. And at the end of the day, we're all companies who need to make revenue, who need to make profit. And the basis for that is a differentiating experience. This is a bit of a busy slide, but it shows you our CX roadmap, which we have started actually 2.5 years ago. And as you see, the whole area around differentiation is now, for us, it's the third phase. Why does it come so late? Because I think you need to have a real basis, a good CX basis, and you need to bring your people with you. We have 22,000 employees, and we have 2.5 years ago lost a bit the sight of the customer. If you then start a new program or a transformation program and start with telling your people that you need to have differentiated experiences, it will be difficult. They maybe don't follow you, or only a couple of people follow you. So what we did, we started with very simple things in fixing the basics, understanding where the journey is broken, understanding where we let our customers down in order to fix that. We introduced the NPS, made it our main customer KPI across the group, across our 16 markets, and made it also bonus relevant for the senior management and for all the other line managers as well. I have named that at that point, being sexy has to wait, because fixing the basics is not sexy, as you can imagine. And actually at the board, when people asked me, when do we do the cool stuff? I said, we have to wait. The cool stuff is not for year one. So in year two, there was a lot of, we introduced new customer promises. We asked our customers, what do you actually expect from us as your holiday company? So not so much as a tour operator, but really what do you need across the customer journey from us in order that you would travel with us? And we introduced new corporate values, very much typical for Thomas Cook, but also very, very travel-y. And we drove the customer culture further. So we really looked at what do we need to do to bring back the customer to the minds and to the hearts of our people. And only with that foundation, we said now it is the right time to really look for a differentiated product. So what is it what Thomas Cook is famous for? And we wanted to stop to just doing everything for everyone, but really looking for who are our target customers, where should we focus, and this is the work we're currently doing. And at some point in the future, hopefully that all ends up in a seamless and effortless experience for our customers, combining online and offline. Because as you know, we have a huge retail network. We have the web, obviously. We have own hotels. We have an own airline. So we really try to keep the customer at the hand and lead it through the whole customer journey. What is the starting point for differentiation? I think there are two areas. One, of course, you need to know your customers. And you need to know to which customers you really want to focus. So you cannot please everyone, obviously. So, but you also need to understand not only their core need, which is, of course, holiday or a hotel, but also the other wants along the customer journey. How do they want to be inspired? What do they expect when they arrive in destination? And we heard a lot about virgin holidays today, that there is a dip in the emotional state of the customer, and this is what we actually see as well. And what do they require when they're on destination? There are still customers who actually want to see a physical rep, which I don't understand, but if that is what our customers want, then we need to fulfill that need. But there are also other customers who say, I don't want to see a rep, I rather want to engage with you digitally. So it needs to fulfill those different needs and requirements, and you need to understand those. And it's not always your preferences, it's really the preferences of your customers. But then you also need to understand your culture and the capabilities of the organization. Because not every organization is ready for small, agile teams, for cool innovation stuff. Only if you lead the organization through that change, then maybe there is an appetite and really do those cool things. And that is a journey which takes a bit longer. It doesn't happen overnight. So in order to really differentiate and innovate, you need to know those both ways. So what have we done at Thomas Cook? We have done a lot of research and analysis around our own customers, and have segmented them and have developed personas, but not so much about travel preferences, but also a bit of demographic background, but more about media usage, which other brands they use, how do they behave, how do they want to be approached by us? Do they want to be approached in a digital way or more in an offline way? So we really looked at those different segments, and we have a lot of family customers, obviously, and a lot of customers who used to travel alone as a backpacker or on their own, but then all of a sudden they have children, and then there is another need: safety. Safety in a safe environment, be in a hotel, have somewhere I can, someone who's taking care of my children, something I can do together with my children. So the whole, let's say, life-changing process of all of a sudden being a family is one of our main customer segments, of course. And they have other requirements and other needs which we looked at in the segmentation. And then we thought, okay, how can we structure the whole journey around those different segments, around special family segments, around special elderly couples going on holiday, because they have different requirements and different needs. And we started to use design thinking methodology, and actually in two ways. There is one way is during a more months project when we do customer journey mapping projects. In the design phase, we use different design methodologies, but will also work very well because you don't have always that lot of time to really come up with a new service or a new product. We started fast track, and we call it one-day labs. We work together with Google. They facilitated 2 of those labs, and the other labs we are now facilitating ourselves. And it's actually one day where we have a specific question, a specific problem statement, to which we invite customers. And we discuss with those customers that problem statement, what they would actually, where we let them down, or what else they would require in order to solve that problem. And then there is a brainstorming session, and after that a a prototype session, that at the end of the day we really have a kind of service description or a storyboard, and then we test that again with the customers which we interviewed at the start of the day. And it's really that short time frame which you give to a cross-functional team of 15, 20 people to come up with a specific solution for that problem statement. And then you can develop that further in different workshops, or in actually like a small hackathon of a week where you put together a small team to come up with a prototype of a digital solution, for example. And those two ways have worked quite well over the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months, where we have found a couple of differentiated services and products which I would like to introduce to you. The first thing is the 24-hour promise. Who has heard of the 24-hour promise? No one, okay? So when we did our research and our insight into understanding where there are certain pain points, we noticed that customers, when they arrive in destination, they arrive in their hotel and they're not so happy or don't think it is as they expected, frequently they didn't approach us, but came back after the holiday and complained about the holiday afterwards. This is a problem because the holiday is gone. You cannot deliver a good holiday experience anymore. So we said we really need to come up with a solution to approach those customers, understand what the issue is, and really solve the problem. So customers now in our main hotels get a kind of survey, a message at the beginning when they arrive in destination, where we ask them if they are happy, or if they're not happy, if they would like to contact us, and if we could solve the problem. And if they have a problem, we then promise to solve that within 24 hours. And if we are not able to fix it within 24 hours, our customers get a voucher of 25% of the holiday price, which is a quite bold statement. And when we introduced it first, there was obviously a lot of pushback in the organization that we will not be able to deliver. But at the end of the day, we rolled it out to 3,000 hotels, and we saw that the complaining afterwards, the complaints reduced. Those hotels where we offer the 24-hour promise have a much higher NPS as all the other hotels. And we see very positive feedback from our customers because they can engage with us, because there is a contact between Thomas Cook and the customers in destination, which we haven't had at the beginning. And there is, for our reps and resorts, a lot more of problem solving rather than looking for compensation and paying out for compensation. The other differentiating experience we launched a couple of weeks ago is Choose Your Room. Again, paying onto a pain point that you are sometimes disappointed when you arrive in a hotel, and I think you know that, thinking, is that really the room I wanted? I had expected maybe a room more to the bar or more to the beach. So in our own hotels and some of our selected hotels, our customers get a couple of days before they actually go on holiday a link where they can already book their specific room. And then they see exactly on the room map, it is closer to the pool, it is closer to the bar or to the beach. And then there is no negative surprise, and they know exactly to which room they can go to. And again, we just rolled it out to a couple of hotels. We're piloting it, we're testing it, and the feedback so far is really good. Last but not least, Casa Cook had a quite good press coverage over the last couple of months. It is a new hotel concept, which is for the hipster bohemian traveler. So we brought that hotel concept to the beach, which usually you only know from city hotels. And it's also looking at a customer segment which Thomas Cook hadn't had before. And we have now opened 2 hotels, one on Rhodes and one on Kos. And you see that up to 90% of the customers going there haven't been Thomas Cook customers before. So we looked at a new requirements, new wants and needs of a completely new customer type, and opened those hotels, which are really very stylish hotels, very laid back, for people who want to explore and not so much have the typical package tour. And our aim is now, with the various methodologies I explained beforehand, to come up with 1 or 2 new features, new services every year, so that in 2 to 3 years we really know what is the differentiating experience you get with Thomas Cook along the whole customer journey. For me personally, what are the success factors? I think one, you need to do your research. You should not just rely on your preference, because what is good for you is not always good for your customers. So you really need to understand what your customers want. Then if you're around for so many years and you want to change something, of course it is a transformational project. You need to have a cultural change program behind it to bring the organization with you. Otherwise they will not follow you. And otherwise you will only have a small portion of people really trying to change the organization. Work with cross-functional teams in those one-day labs. It's always a cross-functional team, and then all of a sudden people talk and speak to each other who probably haven't spoken before, and it's very fruitful. You get a lot out of that. And then if you need to earn the right to do that work, you need to start small. So rather have a smaller project, pilot it, test it, see that it works, and then you can earn the right to have the bigger work. But don't start too big, because otherwise you will lose parts of the organization. And if you cannot work with customers, work with frontline staff. So always invite to design thinking workshops or innovation workshops. Invite your own staff, because they are in contact with the customer every day. And they know much more than the people who are in the head office and have not spoken to customers for quite a long time. And I think those are at least the success factors for us, for Thomas Cook. And I hope you can take 1 or 2 ideas from the presentation with you, which will probably then help also to have more differentiating experiences for our customers. Thanks very much.